Let's get corrupted. What is up, everybody? It's your boy Joe with Meteoric Serpents coming back at you for another episode of the Colubrid Corruption Podcast. Guys, very awesome episode in store today. I have on Eric Westmorland of ECW Reptiles. Super big player in the corn snake game. Overall, all colubrids. I mean, he has a ton of species, so I'm really excited to talk to him and hear about it. He's here with me tonight. Also, just FYI, if you didn't, I don't know if I mentioned it or not, but this episode is pre-recorded. I'm traveling this weekend, so we're doing this the Thursday before. Obviously, this is going to be released on Sunday at the usual time. But yeah, that's all good. Guys, as usual, before we get started, I do have Meteoric Serpents t-shirts available. So if you are interested in one, just let me know. I'd be happy to send one out to you. Also, make sure you leave a like and subscribe on today's podcast. Definitely hit a like on all of them and hit that subscribe button because we are getting closer to that 1,000 subscribers. So let's get there. Let's do it. We're almost there. Then on top of that, we are on all audio like podcast platforms, so like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, some others as well. So if you're interested, give it a listen there. It's obviously the same exact content going to both places. Feel free to rate, review, and follow it, whatever there, because that always helps out as well. Otherwise, guys, all my social medias are down here below, so go feel free to check that out. Follow me on Instagram at Meteoric Serpents. That's where everything goes. Facebook too. All my Instagram stuff gets filtered there. Give me a follow on Morph Market. I'm going to be, I said it last week, I'm going to be posting up some ball pythons from my collection, and there's some Texas rat snakes coming soon. The clutch I hatched is almost ready to go. They're doing great, smashing some pinkies, so that's all good. There's one other thing I was missing. I don't know. We'll get to it. Anyway, guys, also, you should support USARK Florida. Those are the organizations that fight for our rights to keep our reptiles, whether you're a hobbyist, whether this is a business for you, your lifestyle, whatever, you should be supporting them. Fights against the legislation to take away our rights as reptile keepers. So definitely go do that. Also, if you're looking to diversify your reptiles diet, you should go check out Blake's Exotic Feeders on Instagram. Get the best frozen quail you can get. Hit him up on Instagram. Let him know that Joe from Meteoric sent you. He'll hook you up with the shipping prices especially. But super good quality. I like diversifying. I switch off between the mice and the quail. All my colubrids love it. So, yeah, just something I really like doing. Also, guys, I totally botched talking about this last week. But guys, it's officially announced. Colubrid Fest is going to be in Indianapolis, Indiana, September 27th, 28th, 29th. You do not want to miss out, as the sign says here. Yeah, guys, I mean, this is going to be the biggest colubrid event of the year, put on by my, good buddies, Dr. Loafman, Clint Bartley, and Show Me Reptiles, Mickey over there. It's going to be a great event, this 3-day event. I know the first night is kind of like a mixer, get to know everyone. Second day is all going to be kind of a colubrid symposium type of deal. A lot of guest speakers and stuff like that. And then Sunday is a colubrid only reptile show, which is just a really cool concept. I do 100% plan on going. I definitely have to look at flights soon. But yeah, I really want to see everyone there. I want to meet a lot of people. A lot of these people I know over the internet, but I want to meet them in person for myself. So yeah. And last but not least, the first link in the description below takes you to the Meteoric Serpents Patreon. Got a few new members this week. It's awesome. I'm loving to see this community grow. Whether you want to just support me, you also get some like behind the scene access of like what's going on here with me. The collection, the show, you get early, notification about who's coming on the show and stuff like that. Overall, and plus just build a great community of fellow colubrid enthusiasts. I just think it's super cool. So appreciate all my Patreon members. Thank you guys so much. And then before we bring Eric out, so one thing I mentioned last week was I want everyone to start hashtagging Colubrid Corruption on all their Colubrid posts. And let me see if I could pull up the hashtag, because I saw some cool posts and I wanted to share them. A few people did it, and I appreciate them. Give me one quick second. I should have pulled it up. Let's make sure these posts go. Yes. Oh, we had another entry. There we go. Chris Montross is on it. All right, so let's present the screen. So some Colubrid Corruption for the week. This was a great one. I love this post from Chris of some of his Everglades rat snakes. I mean, guys, you can't beat these, and these are like the pale-sided ones. This one's an A-male, I know. Just super, super cool. I love this post. There was another one as well. Oh, yeah. My buddy over at Wellington Exotics, one of the Patreon members. Appreciate you, my man. This is a Xanthic blacktail Crebo. Really cool animal. Super nice size to it. So he put that on there. So yeah, guys, if you want to be featured on, the podcast on a weekly basis, hashtag Colubrid Corruption on all your Colubrid posts, and I'll be picking my favorites every week on the show. Yeah, thought that would be fun. But guys, without further ado, let us welcome on our guests. Thank you for being here. What is up, Eric? How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. Thank you very much for having me on. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I was telling you before we got started, I know some people were kind of itching for a corn snake episode, and we were definitely due for one. I've had some corn snake guests on, but you're one that I definitely wanted to have. Just from like a social media presence and seeing what you produce. And this might be my ignorance, but I definitely regard you as one of like the top corn snake producers. I mean, just in sheer numbers and the genetic combinations you're making. I mean, you have some of the best stuff I see out there. So, again, I really appreciate you coming on. Oh, hold on. Did you mute? Are you good? Oh, the audio went out. Try leaving and joining right back. Or did you mute yourself? I don't know. Oh, wait. There you go.
Got it?
Yep. Now I got you. All right.
Okay.
Cool. All right, man. As we kind of get into it, some of my guests may not know who you are. Can you kind of give your little synopsis of where this all started for you, the hobby, and how that kind of segued into where you are today?
You want to go from little kid finding?
I mean, hey, that works. Hold on, I lost you again. Yeah, you might want to just take the headphones out. Good? Like unplug. Did you unplug them?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, now I hear you. You're good.
Still?
You're good. Gotcha.
Okay. Yeah, but just about like everybody else, started finding garter snakes when I was a little kid, and for whatever reason, it just grew from there.
Yeah.
About like everyone else too. Of course, I couldn't have snakes when I was a kid, whatnot. It's funny. I always tell parents that when they bring their kids to the expos and stuff, and they say, "No, you can't have a snake." I'm like, well, this is what happens when parents have snakes when they're little. I also tell the little ones too. I was like, try to find something with legs. That'll get you into the door.
Yeah,
but
sure.
yeah, I mean, when I was a little kid, it just constantly all the time looking for stuff, flipping rocks, checking through the junkyards. It just grew from there. I don't know. When I was a teenager, though, I was a bass fisherman, so that kind of took precedence over everything else. And then when I got out of high school, I went to the Army. So then I was dealing with that. But when I was in the Army, I was kind of the snake guy to go to. Find Westmorland, found some crazy. What is this? You know, I gotta go find. You know, go ID it and whatnot. That was always fun. I got to see a lot of cool things when I was down in Louisiana. That's for sure.
Okay.
I got out of the military and met my now wife, and I was fortunate enough that she loves reptiles as much as I do.
Awesome.
And the funny thing about it, I had lizards first, and she's the first one that had actually brought a snake into the house.
Okay.
I got to back it up, though, because I forgot when I was doing another talk with someone, the actual first reptile I ever had was a caiman.
Really?
That was back in the 70s. That was back in the 70s when you could find them at the pet store, where you know, wherever. My dad got me one. Yes, of course. It didn't live long, but that was funny. I remembered that when I was talking to someone else. I was like, oh yeah. Then I always had, like I said, I always had some salamanders and lizards and stuff growing up. But then, like I said, I got out of the military and met my wife, and it just started growing from there. I think, seriously, the first two reptiles I had after the military was a knoll, and then I think some wall gecko or something like that. And then my at the time girlfriend got a ball python, just a normal, and then it just stemmed from there. About like everyone else, you get this, you get that, boom, boom, and next thing you know, I got like 50 different animals all over.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then where we're at now, let's see, that was 1991, and then 1992, I think we started dabbling breeding stuff. Cal Kings, that was kind of the first thing. And then 1994, that was really the first year the business kind of started. It was like we kind of made it official. So that's what on our logo there says Corns and More since 1994, and that's where that kind of stems from.
Nice.
And believe it or not, we had first things that we bred were Cal Kings and then boas. Had a group of boas, and then we were actually breeding ball pythons, but this is before we were actually breeding normals, so we could have normals in the pet store, because everything coming in was all, you know, captive bred normals, because everything coming in was all imported stuff, just covered in ticks and mites and respiratory infections and everything else. It was horrible at the time. Actually back then, both of us were working at pet stores, two separate pet stores as well. Katie, my wife, she still works. That's 30 years, the same pet and garden.
Okay.
Cool. And then, of course, I moved on. But yeah. And then, let's see, we bred from 94 until about 2002. And then we kind of took a break from breeding. I like to tell everyone we bred kids then. that kind of took precedence. At that time too, I was a manager at a grocery store, and I lost that job. And I think back now, and it's funny because funny or not funny, that when I lost that job, I ended up selling off probably about 3/4 of everything that we had, just because you flip out. It's like, oh, you know, what am I going to do? Get rid of everything. And I look back now, that's the biggest regret I ever had.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. I was like, I've had a few friends reach out to me here recently, kind of with the same questions, and I was like, dude, don't get rid of your stuff. Downsize is fine. That's it. Just hang on to stuff. And I hang on. I mean, then we jumped back in about 2014. I started building the collection back up. But I had
really? Okay.
all during that time, I had some animals. I always kept animals. Had two real nice blue cages in our living room and stuff. I had some gopher snakes and some pines, or had some Cal Kings.
Okay.
And then we got back into it. Yeah, we got back into it about 2014. I started building a collection back up. And kind of started with, and then got into the corns, then. Just because they sell. I like them.
Right. Yeah, and one thing about your collection is that you have both the staples, the industry staples for colubrids, and even like I know you do some ball python pairings as well. And then you have a little bit of the obscure, like the Asian stuff, but yeah, I mean, the corns are kind of your mainstay over there. I mean, as far as I can tell, that's the most of what you have. Biggest chunk. Yeah.
It's 50%.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. So, I mean, what was it about corns that, kind of drew you in so much? Because, I look back and I always talk about my pet store job experience, and I used to breed corns there, and we would breed a visual normal to a visual albino, and we would get a whole bunch of things. And like, that's where I started really learning about genetics and stuff. We would produce albinos, we would produce motleys, snows, anneries, and all combinations of that. That's where I got my feet wet with like the corn snake genetics, and I started understanding like kind of the basics. And then I feel like over the last, I don't know what it was, like 5 years or so, I've seen all these like newer morphs come on to the scene, and now I see these crazy looking corn snakes. I'm just like, where did we go from the basics?
Right. And that's
Oh, hold on. I think it's lagging a little bit.
You all right?
Now you're good, I think.
You're good? Yeah, but I was saying, I mean, the genetics, that's it being a snake, because I'm a snake lover of everything. But yeah, the genes are like, it's my tapestry.
Yeah.
Yeah. It kind of scratches that itch on making new things and stuff like that. And when I got back into it too, like I said, I'd been breeding. So when I got back into it, I just didn't willy-nilly go out and buy a bunch of stuff. I sat down, actually went to Ian's vivarium and started going through all the morphs and stuff and picking out. So I was like, hey, you know what? I like that. I like this. I like that. And I like this. And that's where we started. And I went out and we got those. My wife was a little bit on the smarter side too. She's like, well, we're going to do is you're going to find some adults, and we're going to get that going, quicker. So then that kind of played into it too. And then everything stemmed from there. I remember when we got back into it, I think I bought 4 pair of corns from different places, and that was 2014. And then 2015, I bought some more. 2016, I was breeding some of what I had, and then everything stemmed from there.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy because, corn snakes are like I guess hognose are kind of there too, but like corn snakes are kind of like the ball pythons of the colubrid family, just in the fact of like all the crazy genetic combos. And I feel like everywhere I scroll on Instagram now, I feel like I just see a new combo that I've never seen before. I'm like, holy shit, that's a corn snake. And I mean, they're crazy looking.
And it's funny because a lot of people kind of downgrade trying to go for world's first and stuff like that. I do. It's like that's part of the fun of it for me. I mean, especially with corn snakes. So I mean, that's like, I'm not afraid to say. I mean, I've produced a few, at least as far as I know. I mean, you really don't know for sure, but there isn't. We don't check in someplace and go, hey, he's kind of roam around or whatnot. But yeah, I mean, that's the fun of it. I mean, besides the fact that you're keeping a species of animal that you like.
Yeah.
I mean, they're incredibly easy. They're easy to take care of. They're easy to breed.
Yeah.
You can keep them in a wide variety of ways. If you want to keep them in a tub, you can. If you want to put them in a gigantic, great big huge enclosure, knock yourself out.
Yep. Yeah, man. And now, like, when it comes to like what you're working with genetics wise with the corn snakes, what are some of your staples or maybe some of your favorites that are in the collection currently?
I made a post a while back. It's like, let's see, 1, 2, 3. I'm trying to think. I've got probably right at 150 corns, and 50 of those now, probably 40 or 45 of them are visual sun-kissed.
Okay.
And then probably half of the rest of that stuff is all het sun-kissed. So I have to say sun-kissed.
Okay. Gotcha. And what exactly?
What?
I was gonna say, what exactly does the sun-kissed gene do?
Sun-kissed to me, I said it reminds me of the clown morph in ball pythons. You're gonna get a crazy head stamp on it. Sun-kissed is a pattern mutation and color mutation. It's kind of in the hypomelanistic group.
Gotcha.
Like I said, you're always going to have a crazy head stamp on there. That's just pretty cool all itself. The pattern down the sides are generally blown out and pixelated and whatnot. And then you start getting that into different combining with different genes, you get even more pixelation in a lot of the pattern. Shatters come, the cinder sun-kiss. We call them shatters because that pattern looks like broken glass all the way up and down.
Yeah, the shatters have become some of like my favorite. It's one of my favorite combos for sure, especially the and then you get like the shatter, I guess, with like the Miami phase in there. Like I really like those color tones. Like it's super cool to me.
I kind of stumbled into a lot of my sun-kiss stuff is from Miami lineage. Because a lot of my founding stock was from Walter Smith, and then I got some stuff from Carol Huddleston.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Nice.
Walter, he worked with a lot of Miami sun-kissed and Miami cinder stuff like that.
Gotcha. Yeah, I just mentioned Carol last week talking to Rob. I got my first cockseye from her.
All right.
That's how I found out who she was. Little did I know that she's like, this very
I didn't even know she was
substantial corn snake breeder. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think she did. I think she told me recently that either she like wasn't doing them much anymore or whatever, or she was doing like 1 clutch or 2 clutches a year or something, but yeah, that's who I got my first one from.
Cool. But yeah, sun-kiss is probably ranking up there as probably my favorite.
Okay. Oh wait, hold on, the audio went out again. I don't know what keeps happening. No. Oh, there you go. Yeah. Got it now.
I don't know what's going on. I'm not really doing anything. But anyways, yeah, I was planning on, and I've got a lot of Castani projects started.
Okay.
Just because there isn't a whole lot. Everyone just kind of does the mandarins, which are cool, and then there's a few others on Ian's that I see, but there's a lot of stuff. It's unknown. And there's, that kind of plays into why I like corns too. There's still a lot of unknowns there. And it's like, I like to go try to figure that stuff out, see what it looks like. Combine that and that, and see what happens. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's like I was like one of the first ones to get cinder into strawberry, and it was like, okay, I did it, but it's like looks like a regular hypo cinder. Really, you can kind of get a little bit redder, but nothing really fancy about it. But still, I'm doing a lot of Castani projects. We're starting from scratch. I got whatever it was. I've got a list someplace what I've got into it, and starting with just the classic hets. Starting from there.
Gotcha. Yeah, and then when it comes to corns nowadays with the genetics, are there any besides not making combos yet, besides like combos to be made still, are there any new morphs that have come out as of recent or that are in development?
Are you talking like single gene? Or are you talking
like
combo?
just like I'm talking like brand new genes. Like, has anyone like found something out of nowhere as of recent, or has most of this stuff been around for a while?
No, there's still some stuff coming out. I just heard, I heard the other day. I can't remember it. I heard something new. I think actually a clown morph. It's in the scaleless complex.
Okay.
That some friends of mine are working on.
Really? Okay.
My friend up in Toronto, MBK Reptiles, he brought, that would have been March Tinley. He brought what he's calling Matrix.
Okay.
When we get done and stuff, I'll send you a picture of that. I took some pictures of it. He brought some to the show and whatnot. He'll talk. He's got a YouTube channel too. He talked a little bit about it on there. It looks different. It's kind of a different pattern, just kind of cropped up in his collection.
Yeah.
That's kind of a single gene deal there. I don't know about that clown project yet thing. The black diamonds over in Europe. I don't know if you've seen those. It's the closest thing we're getting to. Oh, I'll send a picture of those too. Them things are like pretty much black and white for a corn snake.
Okay. That's cool.
They're pretty cool looking. Oh, the zombie head stuff. That's kind of a two-way street there. We've always had what we called zombie heads, and now we've got like a gene called zombie head. That was another new one coming out. There's still new ones coming out.
Gotcha. Yeah, man, I mean, the genetics with the corn snakes really are so cool, and it kind of makes me think to myself, I'm like, should I get myself some corn snakes? And then I'm just like, I don't know with the other species I like, but like I always say I'm like an addict. There's so much I want to just try on the colubrid side of things. I've never actually personally owned a corn snake. Like I said, I used to work at that job where I used to take care of and breed quite a few of them, but I've never had one in my personal collection. So I don't know. Maybe I'll get myself a couple pairs eventually, just to kind of have some fun with a little project. Who knows?
Tread lightly.
Yeah, probably.
It's like everything else, man. It's just like I'm getting to the point, man. I can't have it all. I mean, you get there. You can't have it all. You got to figure out what you really like to work with and stuff like that. Even with the genes and stuff too. It's just like I'm getting to the point. It's like, all right, I like working with this, and that's what I'm going to work with. And there's stuff that I've had in my collection that I'm ain't afraid to say it. I'm getting bored with.
Okay.
It's time to
that's fair.
Move those on. Yeah. I mean, that's part. I mean, it is what it is. It's not that I don't like the animals. It's just all right.
Gotcha.
Tread lightly on that corn.
Yeah. And then one thing I'm also curious about, because I feel like the more genetics oriented you get with a species, the less At least we see it with ball pythons. I feel like the less kind of like line breeding becomes a factor per se. What are you doing? Because I feel like colubrids are easy to work with the line breeding because I feel like you're able to really pick out the best examples, and colubrid breeders are very conscious about that. What kind of projects are you working on where you're like kind of going for that line breeding, like the best examples of the traits, or even just the best colors on a normal or something like that?
Right. Yeah. I was lucky when we got back into it. I bought a snake off of kingsnake.com. It was just it was labeled as an just an anery, but it was just fabulous looking. It was what you'd call like a banded phase.
Okay.
The blotches came all the way down to the belly and whatnot.
Yep.
Dan Eby I think he's out in Wyoming. He's a hognose snake breeder. He got it in on a trade, so he didn't know a whole lot about it. I bought it as a male. So when I got it, I named all my stuff. I named him Benny. Well, Benny ended up being a female when it came time to breed. So it became Miss Benny. So I've got a lot of stuff that that's labeled Miss Benny line. And it's,
I've seen you label that. Yeah.
Yeah. That all stems from her. She passed away. She got cancer in her throat about 3 years ago now. So that kind of, I had raised babies up and stuff. But yeah, I'm starting to get into that. So now it's just trying to work this combo into that pattern. But I really like that. And then my main Miami guy is his name's Bam Bam. And he's the one I just showed a picture today. He's producing some really kick-ass basically patternless snakes. But I got a Miami Shadow today. It's like there isn't a stripe. It's technically a vanishing stripe, but there's no pattern on this snake at all. And he's been producing that.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I mean that's Miss Benny line. That's something I'm really working towards.
Awesome, man. And that banding, so that's not a genetic mutation. That's just a line bred kind of pattern thing.
Yep, it's polygenic type thing. Like with her, put her. I forget one of the first animals I put her to. Oh, it was that I had a diffused opal, so lavender. Anyways, half those babies came out with really nice banding. And then that's where you start. You take your most banded babies from there, hang on to that, either put them back on another or outcross that again or whatnot.
Gotcha.
And it all starts there.
Very cool.
But yeah.
Awesome. One thing I found interesting about I guess I'll call it the corn snake market, especially over the last few years, as I've, done a lot more like just looking at stuff on Morph Market. Unlike some other species, it seems like even for a snake that's so like gene packed and stuff like that, the prices are down at this very like affordable price that almost anyone can get into it. And even like some of the crazy combos, like you'll see them for like, it's like, $300, $400 as hatchlings. And that's like the max you're going to see. Just from like a business point of view, how has that been that there's no real, like, I don't know, I guess like monetary chaser? Cause you're doing this full time, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
Yep, 2 years now. Full time.
Cool. Nice.
Yeah, I got to the point I could pay for my own insurance, so I was like, "We're doing it."
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, and that's not a problem, but in that's why you got to produce more. A lot of times I'm friends with a lot of breeders and stuff like that. I'm friends with a lot of ball python breeders. I'm friends with a lot of people who breed higher end stuff. And I said that I'm kind of jealous because, like, all right, these guys only have, 10 animals.
Right.
They produce maybe 20 a year, and they're making darn near as much as I am, or whatever they're, And here I got to produce 500-600.
Yeah.
And it's just extra work. But yeah, but in that, everything sells pretty well.
Okay. Yeah, because you get that like introductory first pet market as well,
right?
I assume.
Yeah, and there's another and yeah, you can get people. This is their first snake, and that's what I try to breed for too. And the animals I have in my collection, I've got low end animals just for that reason. People coming in the hobby that want something, on the less expensive side. I've got stuff that's, in the $100 to $300 range, and I've produced, $1,000 snakes.
Okay.
On occasion, other breeders and stuff are looking into that or whatnot, but yeah.
Nice. Cool. Oh, there was something else I was gonna ask. Shoot. I had it and then I lost it. And it was about corns. All right. Maybe I'll find it later. Cool. Anything else you wanted to hit on, like corns wise, before we get into some other species?
Well, I think that's about it. You want to move on?
Cool. You mentioned like king snakes, cow kings were a big part of it. And I really haven't had a ton of cow king talk on here. And cow kings were another thing that I worked at at the pet store I bred. And that's a species I really enjoy, especially raising up the babies, hatching those babies. Like that was one of my favorite species to hatch out. They're just so fun and like little spunky babies, aggressive eaters. They're just great. And then plus the variability you get between like the patterns and a little bit on the color. What are you working with on the cow king side of things? Because I know there's plenty of genetics there as well, actually.
Right. I'm not as well versed with my cow kings genetics and stuff like that, but again, when we got back into it, I think that was our second year getting back into it. I purchased 2.2 adults, and everything kind of stemmed from there. Since then, I've added some Tom Stevens line albino lavender and albino snow stuff. But out of that initial group, I had some. They were actually labeled as bananas. They weren't that yellow when I got them, but some of those babies that are coming out of there are extremely yellow. That's what I really like. I held back 5 last year of the highest yellow. I mean, I've got some in there that are just screaming yellow. So that's what I'm working for or working towards with those. Along with, I've still got some 50/50s, and I still have the Tom Stevens albinos and stuff like that we're getting into. Palomar ghosts. I really like those a lot too. I'm getting that into some stuff. I'm just kind of really getting started. When we got back into it, I was just producing those cow kings basically to sell. I didn't hardly hold anything back. I think I held one female back. And last year's first year, I had some stuff. I was like, wow, I really like this. I held that stuff back. And I had another clutch. I just posted that online here a while back, or 2 days ago. The whole doggone clutch I'm thinking about holding back. It's just like, man, everything in there is killer. Yeah. But everything right. These are all my cow kings right here.
Okay, nice.
Got 10 there.
Very cool. Yeah, man. Like I said, cow kings are cool. I know Tom Stevens has some real nice stock. I mean, he has a ton of genetics in there as well. The only reason I know about some of like the genes that or mutations that cow kings have is because of his Facebook page and another guy I knew from back in New York. Yeah, because like I didn't realize there was so much for a very long
Right.
time.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not as well versed
Gotcha.
in there. In fact, I talk with Tom quite a bit. I get stuff that hatches out, and it's like I gotta contact him, or I contact John. All those guys are like, hey, what's going on here?
Gotcha. Yeah. Cool.
But yeah, they're
Go ahead. My bad.
oh, I was gonna say, yeah, they're little pistols. It's when they're hatchlings and stuff like that. I when I'm setting those guys up, I have to do that at the end of the day because I'm just covered head to toe in musk and crap and piss.
Yeah. Yeah, they'll give
funny
you
thing-
a little run for your money.
Yeah.
All right, cool, man. Now I definitely want to hit on. Oh man, where do I even go next? Because you have some non-US species that I definitely wanted to hit on. First, we'll start with the. Oh my god, what the Japanese rat snakes. Yeah, because yeah, you're working the albinos. You got, I mean, even the normals, they're cool. The climax,
Right. My initial pair came from Rob Zirkle, and they were supposed to be both mainland. The mainlands are just a little bit more dingy. The Coonstar
Okay.
Islands is the ones everyone's really wanting. Those are the ones that are emerald green. And you can get some that are just, I mean, almost turquoise blue, stuff like that. My male ended up being basically a Coonstar because he's 7. These guys are underneath me here. He's about 7 years old now, and they were supposed to be mainlands. They were supposed to be no hets. Ended up being het albino, so that started that all off.
Okay.
And then it just grew from there. 2 years ago, I picked up a pair of patternless from Kurt Sanchel
Okay.
through Matt Most. So I'm raising those up. So we're going to start working on those too. Yeah, man, I love them things. I keep those guys in some big vivariums and whatnot. I used to have them in the house.
Okay.
Right now, yeah, and they're great. I mean, I tell her when I sit at my kitchen table and I got those cages in my living room, we got a half wall so I can look in and watch them when I'm drinking coffee in the morning. And those snakes will sit there and watch me more than I'm watching them. It's funny. You walk by their cages and you'll see their little pupils looking at you and like, hey, what's going on? And they're just checking you out. They're super inquisitive animals. They're, for the most part, they're pretty handleable. Once you get them out, they're good to go.
Okay.
Mine, I've been bitten by mine, but it's when I've scared them. They're either in a hide box and I go in trying to find them or something like that. And I've been hit feeding. Other than that, that's it. I mean, once you get them in hand, they kind of chill out. They try to run on you at first, then they figure out, I'm all right.
Cool.
Yeah, fantastic animals, man. Fantastic.
Yeah, and they're so just like body structure and like head shape. They're very similar to North American stuff.
They are, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, they're an Asian black rat snake.
Yeah,
they're just green.
Basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Cool. And then how about the what another species I have not highlighted on here? I know you have some Russian rat snakes that keep and breed as well.
Those rank up there as one of my absolute all-time favorites.
Okay, let's talk about those guys a little bit.
Yeah, they're even, dude. That's probably the most gentle snake on the planet. They get big. You're talking a good 5.5, 6 foot, 7 foot snake.
Okay.
My girl's really nice and beefy now. The male, of course, he's a little bit on the smaller side. I'm raising up 2 females. Same thing as the Japanese rats. I mean, super inquisitive. I got those in big natural enclosures too, big 4x4 or 4x2x2s.
Nice.
And man, that just sit there and watch those guys all day long. Super, like I said, super gentle. I've never been bitten by one of those. I mean, even scaring them.
Right. Yeah, and to go with that, that's a
Super.
species I see in a lot of Facebook comments where people are like, this is like a great beginner snake because of how calm they are and how chill and easy to take care of.
Absolutely. Mine,
Which is,
I have them in the house, and right now our house is running, I think our air conditioner is set on like 70 or 71.
okay.
And then I have their only heat. I got one basking light up on top, and I run that like 5 times a day for like an hour. And that's
Okay.
it. So otherwise they're at whatever the room temp is most of the day.
Gotcha.
And that's it.
Gotcha.
Them things probably the most easy, probably the easiest snake there is. And
Okay.
still handleable.
Yeah.
If you want a big pet snake, they're awesome.
Yeah. And what I find interesting about them is, like, you know, people will say, oh, this is a great first snake, but you really don't see them a lot. Like, they're still not being bred to like a very high, you know, high quantity.
Right. There's a few morphs. I believe there is an albino out there somewhere. You got melanistics.
Okay.
And then everyone's always talking about and working more high yellow.
Okay.
Kind of like what they did with carpet pythons back in the day. You pick out the the highest yellow ones, hold those back, and go back and forth. I picked up another female who is actually pretty high yellow. I produced Russians this year. This is my first year producing them. I had 5. I've got 1 left, and I'm waiting for this other female to get up to speed. And if I hold anything back, it'll be from her. I'm getting older, so it's like, if I'm going to get on this high yellow stuff, I better do it now, because I'm sorry. I got some years left, but it's going to take a while.
Yeah. No, it's cool, man.
Yeah.
No, I mean, if they're that good, I mean, hey, probably more people should have them and breed them. So definitely cool.
I took my male. We had a expo last Sunday, and I took my male, and he was the one everyone was holding. I mean, throughout the show, he's the one I'm pulling out, and that's just it. I mean, if you want something, my male's probably as big as like a big corn, and my female's probably right at 6 foot now, and just gentle giants. I mean, yeah. Always eat whatever you want to feed them. I fed mine tilapia, feed my chicks chicks every once in a while. Staples, mice, but yeah.
Nice. Now, when it comes to your room and stuff, because you are keeping some of the Asian species, are you one of those guys that kind of keeps everything in like the mid to high 70s ish, and that's tolerable for just about everything, or what's kind of your game plan with your room and stuff like that?
All of my Asian stuff is in our house, and then like with all my with all our bamboo snakes, they're all in the house with absolutely no heat whatsoever. I never have heat on. I got a baker's rack, and that's where they're at. And then, like I said, the Russians are in there. My Japanese rat snakes are actually out here. I got 2 rooms in my garage. This is one of them in the garage.
Gotcha.
There's another one behind that wall.
Okay.
My Japanese are actually out here right now I don't have any supplemental heat. I got a light in there. So whatever, this room usually runs between 74 and 80.
Gotcha. Yeah. No, that's good. let's see. And then when it comes to just your collection in general, what are I mean, you kind of alluded to it. You also like kind of a diverse diet. You switch it up depending on the species.
Every once in a while. Yeah, like I said, one time I have eaten a lot of fish in the past. I'll be getting some fish rating and stuff, and I just, hey, let's see what eats tilapia. I've had corns eat tilapia. I've had king snakes, bamboo snakes, Japanese rat snakes. I think that's it. But yeah,
nice.
But yeah, and for the most part, a lot of chicks and mice, occasional rat.
Gotcha. Cool. Yeah. And you know, the bamboo rat snakes too that you mentioned, you know, I talked about them with Rob last week. You know, that's species I'm working with as well. What you got going on with the bamboos? Because you have everything but Volanti?
Yeah.
You have okay.
I haven't got those yet. I got polkers, laticinctus, and the coxeye. Right now I'm sitting I'll get dog. My buddy Matt Most has already dogged me out because I had 1.2 coxeye for 4 years. I bred them for 2 years and had nothing to show with 8 clutches of coxeye eggs. So I'm like, I got 1.2. What's the chances of that male being the dud? So I went ahead and actually gave him to an educational program. And then I picked up another male from Clint. Well, I'm like, I'd really like to test fertility with my 2 female coxeye. So I put one with my laticinctus and one with my polker.
Okay.
And the one with the laticinctus went. So I got those crosses or hybrids or whatever you want. And the funny thing about right away, when I look at them, they look like a cross between all 3 of them. They start off up front looking like laticinctus. They got the nice bands on them.
Yeah.
And then that kind of dissipates into some spotting like the polkers do, and then right into some stripes. Yep. I will say the one thing with those things, man, they are freaking hostile.
Yeah.
It's like, man, they are just gnarly.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I mean, I've been I've talked about it before. I mean, the coxeye, if you go in there the wrong way, I mean, they're gonna swing on you. I've been getting a bit better with the adults. Definitely, and like the babies are easy, but I have these 2 Volanti growing up, and man, they are assholes. Like they do not want to be held whatsoever. Every time I go in there, no matter what, like they just no, they want to bite, they want to musk, they want to do whatever to get the hell away. And I'm like, all right, fine. And then I feed them and they're little savages. I'm like, okay, sure.
The funny thing about it, the polkers are kind of, well, I haven't had Volantes, but the polkers are kind of the ugly one there of the group. And they're my favorite ones.
Yeah.
Mine, I mean, they tolerate being held. My male, he looks pretty cool now because he's got like one band behind his neck, and other than that, he's pretty much just all red now. The female still has some pattern. And those 2, I've never been bitten by those, the polkers. Like you're saying, my 2 female coxeyes, like, I hate them. It's just like, gotta go with the shield and stuff. It's like, man, that's why I don't have venom. You guys are just, oh my God.
Yeah, they're funny. They're little piss missiles for sure.
Then the laticinctus, they're kind of more, they're not trustworthy, but they're more, I gotta find out where they're at, because my female, she likes to get underneath all the repti-chip and stuff. So I gotta make sure I know where she's at before I put my hand in there. And if I know where she's at, that's fine. But if I happen to go pick something up, she's, looking like the sandworm out of Beetlejuice. Like, dang. But they're pretty cool.
Right. Cool. Let's see. What else am I kind of missing from your collection? I know you got some Pituophis over there as well.
Well, along with bamboos, I've got mandarins.
Okay.
My buddy Matt Mose set me up with some mandarins. I've got some.
Nice.
For the longest time, I mean, like a long time, I'd never really even seen one in person, so they really didn't do anything for me. And then my wife, she was like, "Man, we need some mandarins." I'm like, "Oh, all right." Well, then we went to a Tinley, and a friend of mine who was just, I'm holding this stuff behind the table, he picked up one. So that was like one of the first times I actually had one in hand and I'm looking at it. I'm like, oh yeah, they are pretty cool. So I contacted Matt. Hey man, send me some mandarins, like whatever you got. I gave him a blank check. I'm like, hey, just give me something. So I got his. He sent me a pair of his Xanthics.
Oh,
then after I get him home, after I picked him up and what, he's like, oh yeah, by the way, the females are that pair are almost 7 foot long on those. I'm like,
7 foot?
Are you kidding me? I'm like, yeah. So I'm like, well, thanks, Matt. All right. Wow. And
dude, the
then
Xanthics are beautiful. I love them.
Right. Mine are taking forever to grow up. They both. Okay. The funny thing about when I got them in, I went ahead and stuck them into cooling right off the bat. I mean, they came in. I picked them up late October, early November. Okay. And I went ahead and stuck them straight in. I mean, even as hatchling, they were hatchlings from that year. Matt said, go ahead and cool them.
Okay.
So I don't know if they didn't feed for them or not. Or not. Well, anyways, no, they did feed. They were supposed to both be on frozen thawed. Well, anyways, that spring, the male decided he didn't want frozen thawed. So like, no biggie, get you live, put him on live for about 6 weeks, switched him back over to frozen thawed. And about 2 months after that, he's like, I'm done frozen thawed, went back to live. He's been on live since. And the female did the exact same thing, but in reverse. She came in eating water, and her first meal with me was frozen thawed. And then she took off with frozen thawed just fine. And then flipped off and went back to live. Went back to live again. And now she's back on frozen thawed. Then besides those, Michael Hance from, I'll just say that, Turtle something is his company name. He reached out to me and won some high-end corns. Wanted to know if I wanted to trade for some Hunan province mandarin. So I was like, yeah, we can work something out. So I sent him, I don't know, I think 7 or 8 corns, higher end stuff. So I got his in. And at the time, and still the time, I got a pair, but there's a story in there. I'm either the second or the third in the States now that have those. But when I got his in, I put him in the quarantine, and I stuck one of them, in one of those little snap tubs. And unbeknownst to me, on the ends, they've got these little braces that hold the top up. Now, I either got that, there's a small gap over the top of it. Well, we took off for the weekend. When I come back, he went over the top of that gap and basically hung himself, the male.
Oh, no.
So I was like, yeah, I'm like, holy crap. So I reached out to Matt right away. I'm like, Matt, yeah. I'm like the third guy that owned these things in the States, and I just killed the male. Fortunately enough, he had another one, so he sent me that male.
Okay.
Well, then unbeknownst to me, those are the smallest ones, like the ones I got from
that's
Michael.
What I thought, right? He said,
yeah.
I believe this Morph Market post, they only get like 3-4 feet.
Right. Yeah. My breeder female right now is 3.5 foot, and my male is smaller than that. So I've got the biggest mandarins and the smallest mandarins.
Nice. There you go. Yeah, man. I mean, the mandarins are real cool. I always say there's always like a list of stuff I want, and it's a very long list. And mandarins have slowly snuck their way. I think they're close to the top. It's a matter of what I want to get with them, though, because I mean, man, the axanthics are beautiful. But then I'm like, God, do I go classic or go for a smaller one? Because I do like smaller snakes, but I don't know. I mean, that I'd take a 7-foot axanthic all day.
We'll see. Yeah, I'm raising those up, so we'll see what happens with them.
All right, cool. Yeah, I mean, the mandarins are super, super cool. But yeah, let's see. What else am I missing, colubrid wise?
Okay, well, we got to round out the king snakes. I've got black gap gray bands.
Oh yeah, you do have gray bands.
I got a trio of those. I had some gray bands, some the classic Blair's phase.
Okay.
Years and years ago, when I first got into snake, probably the 3rd or 4th year into snakes, I had some gray bands, and then got out of them. I never bred those back then. So the eggs I got this year, both of them laid. I got 2 out of 1, and a couple slugs.
Yeah, I was gonna say I saw you got eggs.
Yeah, and then I got like 2 out of the other one. She only had 3. So that'd actually be the first time I've bred those. So we'll see how that goes.
Nice.
I got the Arizona Mountain Kings, the Pyros. I've got Applegate albinos and those. I ended up getting I got 1.2. Yeah, I actually bought 1.4 at Tinley about 6 years ago. I've since sold 2 of the females off, but they ended up being albino and hypo. So I'm raising up some just kick-ass albino ones right now.
Cool.
My male is like awesome. 12 mountain king snakes and the block eye. I had Matt's here for a little while. He sent me 1.2 of his when he was kind of downsizing. This past year, I kind of moved some stuff around, downsized a little bit. So I moved those off to stand. I moved Matt's off to stand groom box.
Okay.
I held on. I got 2 males, and I'm raising up 3 females from some of the pairings last year. The only milk snake species I have is the Andines.
Okay.
And I got eggs out of her this year. Unfortunately, I lost her to egg binding after the fact. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. Usually when I get an animal that's egg bound, I try to get them. First thing I always do is I try to get them moving around.
Right.
Either take them outside, let them go through the yard, and just get moving and whatnot. I'll do that for a couple days. I don't wait much longer than that. After that, I straight up aspirate those eggs just as fast as I possibly can. And I did that. Done that with 2 of them with her, and still lost her.
Damn.
So I don't know. She was that. There was 2 at Tinley, and they were supposed to be a pair. They weren't. They were both females. So my buddy Brett Siebert, he bought one. I bought the other. And those were basically a striped. Both of them were striped, and that's the one I lost. So I got.
Oh man.
I got 3 eggs out of her. One of those eggs crashed, so I got 2 left. So fingers crossed, one of those is an aberrant pattern or stripe or something like that.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll hang on to those. Not a lot. The Andine are my favorite. I've had Hondos like twice, and I get enough grief out of my Cal Kings. I don't need any more out of the Hondurans when they're babies. So I was like, I moved those on. Yeah. I've had Gremlins too, and same deal. It's like, oh my god. No, my Andines. Oh my god, them things are awesome. Well, I've always wanted those too.
Yeah.
And then you alluded to what?
I was gonna say, are you prepared for the the good old Lamprepeltis feeding trials across all those species?
Yeah, I had a break last year from them. When I mentioned I bought that first what was that, 1.4 of the pyros a few years ago. That first year, all 4 of them went. And the next thing you know, I had, did I have 27 babies?
Oh, wow.
And of course, 2 out of that clutch, 8 right off the bat, 1 out of this one, 1 out of that one, and 2 out of this one. I was like, oh man.
Yeah.
So last year I only produced like 4, and I was like, you know what? That's just fine. Yeah, we're setting up. We're setting up. I this year I actually held all my Mountain Kings off and bred them when the corns were laying. So hopefully, I think all their eggs are due in August or September. Last year I had one of them, the block eye I had last year. I posted it on Facebook. I had one stubborn eater, and I was like, you know what? We're gonna take this to the limit. We're gonna see just how far you're gonna go. If you're gonna starve, you're gonna starve. But I'm not messing with you.
Yeah.
Messing anymore. I went ahead. My go-to thing is I like to wait until, if they're not eating, I put them down with the parents for brumation and just cool them.
Okay.
And the thing is, in the wild, a lot of those, they're not hatching out till late in the season, late summer, early fall. So they're going straight out of the egg, going straight to brumation. Right. And that's my go-to. I mean, that really, really does work. And I've manipulated that by putting them in the refrigerator for a good month too. Put them down in the crisper drawer. I mean, it's 45 degrees down there. I've done that, and that's worked. But I had one last year. It hatched in August, and she didn't eat until April this year.
Wow.
And
it's crazy. It's crazy because like people who are newer to the hobby, and look, I get the stress. I get stressing over a baby not eating, but like people who produce their first clutch and then they're freaking out over a one baby snake who's not eating. And look, I get some of them can crash very quickly, but like I tell people, I'm like, guys, you don't realize how long these snakes can go. I watched a corn snake at the pet store go for, I don't know, 4 or 5 months, hatched very tiny, did not eat, went like 4 or 5 months without a meal, and finally died. Just one of those, like, refused. I had a Texas rat last year that hatched, ate its first meal, and then refused for a good 2 months. I'm like, I'm going to lose this snake. Out of nowhere, I go in with the tongs, takes it right off the tongs. I'm like, okay, you wanted to live, I guess.
Something cool.
So yeah, it just happens like that. So I think that's a super important lesson. And it's not like it's also like you can't push it either sometimes. Like sometimes you gotta just kind of back off, because like people are so quick to go to assist feeding. It's like, ooh, chill. So let the animal, give it some time, and then let the animal try to figure it out. Because shoving a pinky or pinky head down its throat, like that's traumatic to the body. I just don't think that stuff is worth it. And I also don't want to put down the animal either. So I'm more of a, if it's gonna go, it's gonna go on its own.
Right. Yeah. I don't assist feed anything. If it comes down to it, you don't want to eat at. That's half the reason why I got king snakes.
Yeah, exactly.
You won't be you're not wasted.
Yeah.
But the only kind of assist feeding I do, I'll tease feed sometimes, and that really, I mean, that works. Generally, it works if you get an ornery one that's not eating, a little bit more aggressive and stuff. I don't know if you've ever seen it. You can see, I think Kathy Love's got a video still out somewhere about tease feeding. You're just kind of holding them in this hand, and you're just kind of tapping them on I like to tap them on their tail a lot.
Okay.
I kind of get them ticked off, and they start biting and stuff like that. And as soon as they bite, they kind of get a hold of the head or something like that. And then, You don't know what goes on in their beetle brains. It's like, oh, hey, wait a minute. Just wait a minute. I think I know what I'm doing now. And they'll take off and eat like that. That's about the only assist feeding. I'll always try some tricks. Go to live right away. I've scented stuff before. I'll make a lizard slurry, dip pinks in there and stuff like that. I'll do that. Right. Brown paper bag. Okay, I mean, yeah, wash them. Funny thing about it with that in the block eye I was talking about, I ran through a bunch of tricks with her trying to get her to breed or to feed, and I even washed them with soap and water a couple times. Well, the when she finally ate, it was washed. I've done that like 3 times, and then she finally just took off on her own. So
gotcha.
Yeah.
Another one I've found to work as well, which I believe it's along the lines of like the paper bag trick, but like just put them in a deli cup in their enclosure with the pinky. Yeah. And sometimes they won't eat, and then the pinky starts going bad, and then you're like, oh shit, and then it but whatever. But sometimes they'll eat that way because they're just in this little an even smaller confined space with that pinky, and it's full of the smell of it. I don't know.
Shoot. Yeah, I keep the majority of my hatchlings in entree containers. They're about that big. Yeah. Here, I'll only grab one real quick. Yeah.
This is a visual podcast, guys. Don't you forget it.
But
gotcha. Yeah, I mean that's convenient, especially for baby colubrids. I mean, they hatch so small.
King's going with something a little bit bigger. They'll go in like something like this size.
Gotcha.
But it's fine. It's always people call me and say, "Hey, the snake quit eating." The hatchling quit eating. My first question is, how big of an enclosure you got it in? 90% of the time, well, I got it in a 40. Like, all right, you're gonna have to deli cup feed. A lot of times when I always give them a handwritten note when I mail stuff off. I tell them to hang on to that deli cup I ship them in, because you might have to feed it in there. So that works.
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of unfortunate that not that we're like experts per se, but like it sucks that like people can't find good information like this, and the first thing they do is freak out or go to Facebook, and then they have a bunch of idiots commenting back to them like when they have a problem, and it's just like, geez. When like sometimes these problems can be so simple,
It's tough. I put my nose in there and try to spit out the best common sense I can.
I've seen you.
But I stopped and take a step back too. And I was new. I was just talking to someone the other day. I was talking with Dave Levinson at the show. He come up from Missouri. But back in the day, I mean, we didn't have the internet. So I remember I had one of my first corn snakes. This probably would have been 1995, 96. She became egg bound. So the only thing I had was Reptile magazine, or might have even been a Vivarium magazine in the back. And I got a hold of Bob Applegate, called him on his phone out in California. It was like, I don't know, 50 cents a minute on there. But anyway, I'm talking to Bob Applegate on one. Like, I got this snake, and she's all egg bound and whatnot. And his first response, we keep them in tubs and they get all fat and lazy. Get her out, get her moving around, and she'll be fine. Then I was like, oh, okay, whatever. Then we sat there and talked for 2 hours on the phone. Nice. It's a little bit different today. It's, like I said,
I apologize. I didn't want to make it seem like I was saying for new people, like, hey, you should know. I meant it more like it sucks that the information isn't as readily available. and that there are
Right.
other idiots who will comment on Facebook who don't know what they're talking about.
Well, that's, you know what? This is a book. A lot of
Those work
information.
too.
And I've been doing this for 30 years, and I still refer to this book.
Yeah.
It's at my fingertips whenever I want.
Yep.
But
Great
yeah, I
resource.
mean, we've all been there. We've been new, and it's like you freak out when your snake's not, doesn't eat today. What do I do? What do I do? Just take it easy. Just take it easy.
Yeah. For sure. Cool, man. Now this is the part of the show where, and I'm not sure. You do have some stuff. Colubrid keepers are always super diverse. I like to highlight what other species people are keeping besides the colubrids. What else do you got? What's your collection made up of that's not colubrids?
Well, we got to round out the rest of the colubrids. I got the pits. I got Jani. Got the Pumalissa Santa Cruz.
Yes, my bad.
You're good. Nope, we got off on a sidetrack. That's what happens when you talk to me.
It's all good.
Santa Cruz gophers. I got San Diego gophers. The Janis. So I got a small pair of northern pines that I'm working with.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna be moving those to a friend's house though. I used to have the lenticulatus. I moved those on to Adam Roth, picked those up for me. I had a trio of those. They were just, man, they were huge. They were big animals, and they were not friendly whatsoever. So I was like, just ran out of room here with them.
Right.
I've had Pacific gophers, the desert colas too. I think that's it. The pit.
Nice.
Yep. Then African house snakes. Still got a pair of those.
Oh yes. Yeah.
You're wanting to get more. I like them.
They're cool. They're cool.
But is that it for the pit, or is it for the? I think that's it for the colubrids. Oh, no, it's not. I got Everglades rats, Gulf hammock rats.
Okay.
Yeah, Baird's rats. That's it. That rounds us off.
Texas? You missing Texas?
I'm missing Texas. I had a scales Texas.
Okay.
A while back that I was going to do something with. I didn't plan. That didn't pan out, but
Gotcha.
But that's it for the colubrids. But for the non-colubrid, yeah, I've got a handful of ball pythons. I make blue-eyed Lucy's, and then the other project I got going, I got some lavender albino stuff.
Okay.
I'm gonna pick up one more male there, and I'll have 2.4 for that group, and that's gonna be it.
Nice.
What did I produce? 14. Everything behind me is all ball python babies there. I produced 14 bells this year.
Okay.
And then I got 3 more eggs and had 6 more eggs in the incubator right now.
Cool.
And that's it for those.
I just got a clutch of 7. I just tossed in the incubator this past weekend.
I got my Tarahumara mountain boas.
Okay.
Them things are pretty cool too. I really like. I wish I could do more with them. They're just I just have the pair and really don't have room to get any more of them yet. But I gotta get them bred and we'll see what happens. But yeah, I love those. Got one big Colombian boa that sitting on the fence with him. I don't know what to do with him. He's kind of the house pet.
Okay. Nothing wrong with that.
We had some females for him a while back, but it's just like, and then females get big, real big.
Yeah.
And then probably not a colubrid, but kind of is a colubrid. My diamond pythons.
Okay.
I treat them. They are the colubrid of the python species. 100%. I probably treat those worse than any of the colubrids in my collection.
Really?
Them guys, yeah, oh yeah. Them guys, I dropped them guys down. This past winter is the first time that I actually brumated my male. I lost my and ended up losing her over the summer.
Oh man.
I went ahead and I dissected her up. I wasn't sure what was going on. And what I think she did, funny thing about it is they're beautifully stunning animals, but they are the freaking biggest klutzes on the planet. I mean, they just be going across the limb and fall off. And I think she fell off. And when I cut her open, she had some broken ribs. And on one of those ribs that were broken was punctured into, I don't know my organs all that good. I cut stuff open to see if I can see anything blatant.
Yeah.
And there was some puncture wounds into one of the organs. So I think that's what made it. That was my big female. So right now I got 2.1. My wife got me another pair last year for my birthday.
Very nice.
They're going to be 2 years. My big male last year was the first time I brumated him, and I just took him. I used a 28 quart hide, and he's in a big enclosure in the house, and he just crawled down there at night. And I'd bring him out to the snake room, drop him before with everything else, just overnight, and then bring him back in and go ahead and let him warm up, and just not feed him for that 3 months.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and it's a little scary brumating a python. This is like,
yeah,
it kind of messes with your psyche, But the thing was, 30. That took me 30 years to get those. When I first saw them, I loved those things. When I first got in the hobby, I was like, oh my god! But back then, we were talking $6,000 to $10,000, and then none of them were living any longer than 4 or 5 years. Well, the problem they found out eventually is they were treating them like every other python and keeping them, up at 90 degrees and just pounding food, man. Yeah. These animals in the wild, I mean, they'd be lucky to get 5 or 6 meals in a year, and that's it.
Yeah.
But
and if I'm not mistaken, they're a little bit on the harder side to breed, no? Or is it just because of the predation factor?
But they can be. The one thing with them, though, with most other carpet pythons, because they're kind of in that gang, males get along. In fact, you'll see I've seen pictures of breeding balls of diamond pythons.
Interesting.
I forget what YouTube channel that was. Some Australian guys. They went to one of their friends' breeding facility. Yeah, and he had 3 males to like 5 females all in one big enclosure. And there was no combat whatsoever with those.
I hear multiple males is one of the keys for bull eye.
Yeah, I'd imagine.
Yeah,
I think
that's a snake that's supposed to get cooler too. Apparently, there's a couple people who are successful in the country, and I'm sorry, this is super off topic, but that's like a factor with them. It's temperature, and apparently they do well together in almost breeding groups.
Yeah. The Bolins, they're a little bit too big for me. I like them, but
yeah. All right, man. Cool. One thing that you do a lot, and I see you do it often, is the vending. And you have a great selection of animals for the vending because you have something for just about everyone, whether it's a first-time pet keeper or an investment buyer, buying like the higher end genetic combos and whatnot. How has like overall that vending experience been for you in your general area? Because I know you kind of do the surrounding shows.
Right. Yeah, we're lucky enough. Mickey with Show Me brought in a show over in Davenport, and that's our home show. That's 10 minutes away. So
okay.
Yeah, we're really lucky doing that one. That's great, and everyone there knows me, so we do really well at that show.
Very cool.
And we do pretty good for all the shows we do. I mean, we kind of do like about a 5 to 6 hour radius around our area. So we get up to Minneapolis. Shout out for Colubrid Fest. Can't wait. That's over in Indianapolis. That's a 5-hour drive for us. Looking forward to that beyond belief. It's crazy. I'm just like chomping at the bit to get there. We do St. Louis shows, Des Moines.
Okay.
Do a lot of stuff up in Wisconsin and stuff too. Yeah, I like to have a lot of variety in animals and price range too. I mean, we don't sell a whole lot of high end animals, but then out of the blue, if someone comes in, it's like, yeah, I'll take that, and it's just like, all right, great.
Yeah, and then speaking of like variability and stuff, how just because I have no real perspective of the shows in your general region, what is like the diversity like species wise at the shows? Are you that guy who's like bringing the most colubrids into the building? Or colubrids at all?
We've been to some shows where I'm the only colubrid guy. Yes, we've had a few of those. When we get up into Wisconsin, there's a few good breeders. I've got a real good friend, Matt Davis, with North Country Kings and Corns. He's up there. SS Corns, Steve up there. Wisconsin Reptile. There's a lot more up there in that area and stuff like that. But it's about like any other show. It's it's ball python heavy, crested gecko heavy. I'm surprised that the leopard geckos have kind of dropped off in popularity. But I mean, I think pretty much the colubrid guy. Oh, we got Jimmy with Southwest Reptiles whenever he's around.
Gotcha. Cool. I mean, the vending is something I definitely want to get into more. I just don't have enough production to kind of back it at the moment. Last year I was able to do a few because I had animals that weren't selling, but like it was a couple clutches. This year I'll hopefully have more. I'm trying to do a few of the local shows because I should wind up with a bit more production. And obviously I want to be able to sell animals beforehand, but I also want to have animals for the show. Like I enjoy doing the shows, but yeah.
I'm a show lover. I love shows.
Yeah, especially really, like the interaction, man. I mean, I just sold my last scaleless leucistic Texas rat from the 23 season, and it was from a lady I met at the Orlando Repticon back in November-ish. I met her back then, and she happened to comment on a Facebook post I had of that female, and the girl was actually on a payment plan hold, and then the person dropped off the face of the planet. And I said, I'll let you know if this falls off. So I let her know, and that's how it went. But if I wasn't at the show that day, wouldn't have happened.
Right.
So
it's funny.
That's how I see it.
Yeah. I was just talking to somebody when like I said, when we got back into it in 2014, it was about 2016 that we could sell or produce and were ready to sell. So we started doing shows then. And I think the first 3 shows that we did in Des Moines, I don't think we sold anything. I mean, it was just...
Yeah, and there were multiple shows where I didn't.
Yeah. And that happened. And you just go through that. Now, trying to think, we had our last home show here was kind of on the bad side, and then crazy thing. The last 15 minutes, I ended up selling like 4 animals.
Okay,
and that's nice. The first time that's ever happened. And I was like, well, that just kind of weird. It was just one of those days. It's summertime. There was an air show that was going on. The crowd that came in were, I call them the church crowd. Okay. And that's part of it too. You got to come in, you got to educate them. They want to see animals and snakes and stuff. And it's cool. And that's cool. I mean, everyone else kind of gets discouraged about it. And I was like, no, that's part of it. The onlookers, the church, I call them the church crowd. It was like them, like all day long. And it's like, well, all right, whatever. So I just get a snake out and we just kind of stand there and talk. And But yeah, I mean, those first 3 shows that we did, and we didn't make, nothing. But you get out there and you get your name out there and people see you, and that helps.
100%. Yeah. Cool. So, what would you say, after all this time, and I'm going to specify it down to one species, what is it that keeps you so focused on, like corn snakes?
Oh, we're going to go back. It's an awesome species to work with. It's an easy species to work with.
Yeah.
You can make money with it. It's fun to work with. Like the gene, that whole thing we just talked about, the genes and stuff like that. It's the popularity of it. I mean, people want a first snake. People want a investment snake.
Right.
You got the whole gamut. And I'm actually thinking about. I don't have any corn snakes in any like big vivariums or anything like that. And I'm actually thinking about putting one in there, and doing like a bioactive stuff too, just to see, because I've never done it.
Why not? Wouldn't hurt.
I see people question whatnot on there, and it's like my own response is, how about you keep snakes for a little while and then go bioactive. I'm all for it. But just to try that out.
Yeah. Cool. And now, like, in general, obviously over the last few years, we've seen dips in the economy and stuff. I know you personally have faced some, I'd call them like personal setbacks just in the hobby, and we'll leave it at that. But like, what is it that keeps you so motivated with the reptiles and like positive, and just to like keep it going?
Well, for me, it took me 30 years to get here, so I ain't leaving now.
Yeah.
It ain't gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. It's just, it's the love of the animal. I would do this if I wasn't making any money whatsoever. Those 10 years that we weren't doing, I still had animals, still loved them, and it was awesome. I always have loved them. It goes back to finding that garter snake when I was a kid.
Right.
It's my yard now. I've got stuff laying all over the place along the perimeter and stuff. I try to get out and go hurt people.
Yeah, I see you get out there. You do find some stuff.
Oh, yeah. I posted that. I think what happened, I posted a scaleless-headed fox snake I found over in Iowa this past year. What I think happened is he got caught in a burn-off is more than likely what happened. But, yeah, that one surprised me. I was like, first snake of the day, and it doesn't have a scale 1 on its head. And I'm like,
yeah.
Okay. But, yeah, I try to get out. I don't get out as much as I want to, but I get out about 5 or 6 times, 7 times a year in the spring, and then enough in the fall. And then, like I said, my yard is just it's a jungle. I think I'll admit it. It's a jungle out there, but I love it. This is like,
Yeah.
I got pieces of fin laying over here. I got some
Okay.
stuff. I hanging out here in the snake room. It's like, oh, I'll take a break, go out there and flip some boards. I got my pond out there, about 20 or 30 frogs in it, toads, all kinds of stuff. So yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right. And then what would you say, like in the next 3 to 5 years or so, what does the future hold for ECW Reptiles? Any big plans on the horizon? Anything you want to talk about? Any species of that you want to get into?
Oh man. Tell you what, I've got what did I hold back last year? I held back 52 animals last year.
Okay.
I held back 25. We're just getting to the point now that a lot of these projects that I started years ago are starting to come forth. So that's what I'm working on. I don't know if I've kind of downgraded a little bit this year to make room for some of those animals moving in this year.
Gotcha.
As far as new animals, I gotta get this year over with. I got some stuff to take care of, but house snakes are still in there.
Cool.
Thinking about getting some of those. As far as colubrids, there's still I still got a big wide list. It's can't have it all.
Yeah, I gotcha.
House snakes are definitely on that list, though. I want to get some more of those. I think I'm good to go with the pits. King snakes,
Nice.
I've got what I've got. Not going to add anything there. I tell you what, though, the love I have for those Russian rat snakes and my Japanese rat snakes, I could see more of like the Eurasian species, like the
Right.
four-line ratters and stuff like that. I could see
Yeah.
that stuff making its way in. Yeah, I like that stuff. Not big sellers, but man, I love those big rat snakes. I don't work with. I got
they're cool species.
Yeah, but I don't work with any black rat snakes. I just don't. I need permits and all that for those,
Okay.
and I just even mess with that. I'm waiting for my Everglades to grow up. I love those. I just love that rat snake look. I mean, everything about it.
Yeah. Me
That
too,
kind of
man.
plays
I
in
mean,
the-
that's why.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always like the rat snake group is my favorite, like 1,000%. And that's such a big group, and it's very encompassing of a lot of things. But yeah, the moniker of rat snake is absolutely my favorite group of snakes.
Right. I'm probably like everyone else. I mean, it's like you could ask that same question, next week, and it's completely different. It's changed again.
Yeah.
I'm like emerald green tree green tree boas have always just kind of just hanging there, and it's like, oh.
That's an expensive one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Those, and then the Madagascars, the San Zinnias, stuff like that. Blind those too. Like, Mike Stefani's got a couple of them up there. I'm just like, oh man. Like, come on, Mike, you're supposed to be the monitor guy.
Yeah, I knew. Mike bred some emeralds, which is super cool.
And as far we're talking about Mike, that brings up monitors. I tell you what, Kimberly Rock monitors are kind of always there on the. Yeah, it's like, we've done lizards in the past. We used to have a pretty big selection of leopard geckos a long time ago. Did that. Right now, we got two pets. We got a Chewy, Chewy gecko that was gifted to us by our friend, and somehow we got an emerald swift. Came from the store.
Okay.
It's like, he's still here, and it's like, oh, whatever.
I'll tell you what, the Chihuahuas are actually a species I'd be interested in. They're cool. And there's a lot of line breeding to do with them, and like just the super variability. Like that's right up my alley.
Yeah. We never got into the crest. You know, the funny thing about with crested geckos, I remember when they came into the hobby again. First off, they were thought to be extinct until 1985, and I was like, you know, now it's the ongoing joke. You go to Tinley, there's more ball pythons and crested geckos than there is in their respected countries, you know. But we never did that. And I got friends that are into crested geckos all the time. I always kid around with them. I was like, all right, when I would go to Tinley and stuff, I was like, you got to walk with me, and you got to show me the difference here, because I'm looking at these cresties that look identical, and this one here is $5,000, and this one over here is $75. What's the difference, man? What's the difference?
Yeah.
And then them guys, you know, they're just like us though. Them crested geckos say, well, you look at this right here. You can see this and this. And I was like, oh, all right. I follow you.
Right.
But yeah, we tried to get back into. My wife wanted to do fat tail geckos.
Okay.
So we had a small colony of those for like maybe a year. That kind of threw a chink into the whole system. When you're used to breeding snakes and working with snakes and stuff, it's like, oh, hey, when's the last time I fed those lizards? When did I give them water last? When did I check for eggs? What the hell's going on? So we got rid of them about a year.
Cool. All right, man. And I guess my final wrap up, which is what I ask everybody, but you know, let's say you're talking to someone who's never owned a colubrid, or it's their first time snake. What's your elevator pitch for colubrids or corn snakes specifically?
Just the ease and maintenance for corn snakes, especially.
Yeah.
I mean, if someone's wanting a snake, for sure, that's handleable. You know, I've posted online before. I think bamboo snakes are probably the absolute easiest to take care of, because you don't need heat or anything, but they don't like being handled. Corn snakes fit that. You got a pet snake, and you got one that's pretty darn easy to take care of. And that's why I wish everyone online just stop complicating it.
Yep. For sure, man. All right. Well, cool, man. It's been a great hour and 42 minutes, and we had no live chat interaction. So shout out to us for you know, going the whole way. Not that it's like weird, but I definitely like the chat in the background is always fun because they get to interact a little bit.
Right.
You know, so. But once again, thank you, man. What do you have to say to anyone who's gonna watch this later, listen to it, watch it, whatever?
I mean, as far as contacting me or something like that.
Yeah,
I'm on Facebook.
Well, I'm gonna put your Instagram in the description, and I'll put your Facebook there too as well, for sure.
Right. But just enjoy your reptiles, man.
Yeah. Cool.
Have fun with it.
Yeah. All right. Well, there we go, guys. You know, just to wrap up, again, this was episode 31 of the Colubrid Corruption Podcast with Eric Westmorland of ECW Reptiles. Thank you guys for coming out. Make sure you hit like and subscribe on today's video. Follow us on social media. Do all of that. That's all in the description below. Check out the Meteoric Serpents Patreon. But otherwise, guys, we'll be seeing you next week live. And I hope you all have a great week, great weekend whenever you're listening to this. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.